Once again, I apologize for the audio quality and the lighting quality. I am still without no power due to Hurricane Helene, and it sucks, okay? But I traveled back to my friend's house with power to watch this movie because if you know me, you know how long I have been waiting for this one. Salem's Lot stars Lewis Pullman and is about author Ben Mears returns to his childhood home in search of inspiration for his next book, only to discover his hometown is being preyed upon bloodthirsty vampires. I am a huge fan of that original TV movie from 1979, Salem's Lot, and here we are in 2024 finally seeing this remake come to life. We're talking Salem's Lot, which released on HBO Max today on a streaming service. And after watching this movie, I'm going to tell you right now, I am so disappointed that this was not in a movie theater, because this movie could easily play in front of a good crowd on the Halloween season, releasing in October. I think the studio is missing out, honestly. But let's just get back to the history of this movie. So this remake has been in the works for, I think, at least 10 years, honestly. There has always been a whisper of Salem's Lot remake. And then in 2017, when it came out and just exploded, every studio was like, we need more Stephen King stuff. We want to do remakes of anything we can. We had Pet Sematary, It Chapter 2. I mean, we are getting that Stephen King era with Stranger Things. But the thing that always in the back of my head, do a Salem's Lot remake. Again, I am a huge fan of that original movie. I love it. It is dated though. It's a movie that, like, I could see them do a remake. I was like, you could easily do a remake and you could do new technology with that story. Now, I have not read the book. I would love to, but the only thing I can go off is that original movie, which I'm a fan of. So before starting this movie, I was nervous. I was fully like, my mindset was, this is gonna be bad, because this movie got filmed in, I believe, 2022, and it was gonna come out last year in theaters. Then they pushed it, and then Batgirl got canceled and just a tax write-off, and this movie was talked about maybe getting tax write-off too. So there was a chance this movie wouldn't have gotten to see the light of the day. So I'm proud to say Salem's Lot 2024 is a good movie. It is an entertaining movie. It is a solid movie. It is not great, and I was not going in this movie thinking it would be better than the original movie, but there are things I still think, even after watching this movie, this story could be told in better ways. Let's, of course, begin with the positives. First things first, the cinematography is very good. I absolutely just loved looking at this movie. I wasn't a big fan of some of the CGI smoke, like the fog wasn't my favorite. Some of the more practical stuff I think was way better, but the movie absolutely just, it looks so good. It looks really good. There's a scene where the two kids are walking through the woods, and all it is the camera pans to the left, and the lighting, the woods, the dark shadows, and what you see happen in this scene and how it tracks back. It's just really well done. Some of the transitions are really good. There's a really good transition shot of, like, I think it was like a book pages, and it transitioned into like the top view of stairs. It was so well done. There's a shot where, like, the camera goes under the bed and then above the bed, and it's like a whole new scene. And I was like, I didn't even know there was a cut there. Like, there is some very good camera transitions, great cinematography, and I overall think the direction was really strong, because this movie has a lot in it. And if you go back to the original movie, it's over 3 hours. There's a lot of characters and plot lines that come together, and this movie is only an hour and 53. So I knew going in something was going to get cut or transitioned, and how this movie opened, I was like, oh, we're starting with this? This is how we're going to start? Because the opening of this scene is like 45 minutes in the original movie. So I really do like what they took from the original movie, and probably the book, again, haven't read it, and how they used in this movie. I think any plausible, just regular audience member like my mom and dad who love the original are going to watch this movie and like it. Like, it is an entertaining movie. Like I said, it would play so well in the movie theater in the Halloween season because this is an old-fashioned vampire movie. It really does just like do the whole sunlight, the crosses, blood, hypnotizing people. Like, it does a really good job being a vampire movie while being like in that fun aspect of it, because the original movie is a very dark telling movie, and this movie definitely feels like Hollywood, bigger budget, more CGI. And I think for an hour 53, they did a good job enough to be entertaining, to be a fun vampire movie. People are going to like this movie way more than me, but I'm going to be more harsh on it because I'm such a fan of that original movie. I think the cast is very good. I actually really liked Lewis Pullman in this movie. I do think they give him character in this movie, something to do with his parents in the very beginning, but nothing really goes deep into his main character. Like, everyone's giving a good performance, but no one gets a really good character arc. And again, that 3-hour movie, in the original movie, you get plenty of character development and a lot of integral plot points that come together that deal with this town. Because without spoiling it, in the original movie, the town is affected by vampires, but if you watch that original movie, it don't really feel like it, and I feel like in this one, this movie actually did a better job of showing like, hey, it's not just a couple people turning into vampires. No, we have the town, and it's affecting everybody, even though I do think this movie does go through scenes that just feel more important, of characters who are turned, people who die off screen, and showing characters' parents get killed, and then showing this character not really affected by it, which in the original was a huge thing for this certain character. And I just think the movie was just cramming a lot in for an hour 53 when the movie could have been longer. Because I will say, in the very beginning, people are going to say this, it starts off real slow, but I think it could have used more for the character. It does a good job setting up who everyone is, who they are, what's their cliche about them, the teacher, the priest, the author moving to town. Like, they do a good job setting it up, but they go straight into the vampire stuff that, like, it never had time to really breathe with their characters like in the original. Again, I'm comparing to the original. But like I said, I think a lot of general people can watch this movie and really enjoy it. I truly do. But then again, I do think it lacks really good characters. Good acting from everybody, just lacks those really good characters. Now let's get more into my negatives. And there is a lot I could really go deep, but I want to make this review like 20 minutes long. Biggest issue. Straker. The character of Straker. Very, very important in that original movie, and even in the book. I read a few pages one time. Such a big character in that original movie. This movie, wasted, which I am shocked, because he is so important to the Salem's Lot story. For what they do with him in this movie, it's a joke. And the actor who portrayed him, I know he's from Game of Thrones. I did not like his performance whatsoever. The original movie was such a dark character who also seemed like a character that was intrigued in the town while being very secluded and being the outcast, but also treating the town like, I'm just a normal guy. I want to be friends with you. We can do business together. This guy is twirling his mustache, watching the kids going into the woods, following people around, and then obviously he's got a master, as they say in the original. In this one, he is like, I have brought you your food, eat, I am your servant. Like, he's saying it like for the dialogue, so the audience is like, oh, he's his servant, he said it. And then we have our main antagonist, Barlow, which Barlow is the blue vampire with the shiny eyes from the original, and I will say it, I am glad they stuck to a lot of the original design, but there was too much CGI in his veins on his head, and I think a lot of CGI on his face. It looked like there was some good practical makeup there, but when it comes to him moving around and doing the action, there's CGI, and I was like, that's kind of disappointing, because Barlow, the vampire in the original movie, is terrifying. And in this one, it just feels kind of like a throwaway CGI villain, and it felt disrespectful. But I would like to hear what people think about Barlow in this movie, because they do show him early on. In the original movie, you don't see him till like the last 35 minutes of the movie. But this movie does treat him like a big evil villain, and he is a vampire who eats people, and there is blood, which I really liked. But when it also comes to the lore of the vampires, there is something they do in this movie, which I don't know if is in the book, with a rabies shot. I don't want to say anything else until you see it. You'll know what I'm talking about. They do something with rabies shot I did not like. I was like, really? It's something different for vampire lore, which I have nothing wrong with changing things up. I'll get to something positive in a second. But doing that to a certain thing about vampires feels like a complete cheat code. You'll see what I'm talking about when you watch the movie. But yeah, when it comes to our main antagonists, I just didn't love them like the original. In the original, they are like integral parts. And this movie does do scenes from the original. It does do the famous window shot. Nowhere near as good because of the CGI, and in the original movie they do it like 3 times. In this movie they only do it once. They do not recreate the famous rocking chair scene, and they don't do that, which kind of shocked they didn't, because that's a very famous scene from the original movie. But the movie also does do a lot of characters in very quick ways. Like the Gravedigger, huge part in the original movie. This movie, it's the kid who's from Unbreakable, and I was like, oh, it's that guy, and he does his thing, and whatever happens in the story happens. And when the action scene does happen, it was cool. Like, there was some really good shots. Like, there's a shot where he's walking down the stairs in the shadow, and the teacher's looking at him. It was like, that's really cool stuff. But then when it comes to the crosses that they use, the crosses glow in this movie. Did not like that. I was like, why are they glowing? Is that a book thing? I really did not like the crosses glowing. I thought it was just cheesy, if you could say. But then again, there's some creepy elements. Like there's a scene with a treehouse and vampires on top of the treehouse, and what they're saying to this certain kid in the treehouse. I think there's the ending, the third act, is something that is not in the original movie, and it's probably not in the original book. I loved. It's the drive-in movie theater scene. Great sequence. Seriously, I was like, this is creative, this is different, this is cool. I liked all of that stuff. Really cool ending third act. But then there's a character thing, a character that's very integral to the plotline, to our main lead, that feels like a throwaway, and in the original was a huge deal. And how the movie ended in the original one was such an integral part to our main lead and a certain character, and in this one, that doesn't happen. And I was like, he could have went the really, really dark route, which they did. I'll give them credit. There's a lot of people that die in this movie. Some that you're like, oh, okay. There's one good, like, oh, like, that character just got killed moment. And I'm like, damn, like, good job, movie. Like, I'll give you credit. So, the big thing is, I walk away saying this is a fun vampire movie. It is. I think this one feels like a throwback. Some of you are going to say it's a lot slow-paced, and there's not, and I will agree there's no good character development. But the slow-paced thing, the original is even slower, but it builds out the town, the characters, the storylines. This one feels very cliche, fun, popcorn-in-your-face vampire movie, and I had a good time. I could easily watch this again. It's a fun movie. It's a cool-looking movie, very well-directed, some cool sound design. Unfortunately, certain lack character development. Certain characters do not get the duty they deserve. And the CGI, for the most part, did take away from a lot of the really good scares. There's some good creepy parts of this movie. This movie, to me, is better than any, like, generic 21st century horror movie we've gotten these last couple of years. I'll be honest with you, like, this one feels like it's trying to tell a story with characters and a town. But in the end, it's enjoyable, but it'll never beat the original. I'm going to give Salem's Lot a B-. It is currently streaming on HBO Max, which I wish it was playing in a movie theater, but let me know, Did you watch this one? Are you a fan of the original? Have you read the book? Let's discuss this movie because, like I said, I have been looking forward to this movie for a long time, and I'm very happy I finally got to watch it. Unfortunately, my mom and dad, who have no power, cannot watch it, and they want to watch it. So that's why I drove all the way over to this house and was like, I have to watch this movie and review it. So anyway, guys, once again, hopefully I will have power soon. We'll be back to normal with my quality and where I'm at in my house. But until then, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, everybody.